At the moment, clearly there is Carlos, Yannick above everybody.
Novak was basically like, they're better.
For the first time in more than a decade, Novak Djokovic is no longer the player everyone is chasing. At this moment, Carlos Alcaraz and Jannik Sinner are simply ahead of him, and the last 6 months make that very clear. Djokovic is still one of the greatest athletes of all time. Nothing changes his legacy. But tennis is about the present, not the past. And if we look only at recent form, results, and consistency, Alcaraz and Sinner are the 2 best players in the world right now. The rankings already tell part of the story. Alcaraz and Sinner have been locked in a battle for world number 1, while Djokovic has slipped out of that fight. For years, Novak controlled the top of the rankings almost by default. Now he's chasing instead of leading. Then we look at Grand Slams in the last year. Alcaraz and Sinner have delivered when it matters most. They've won the biggest titles on the biggest stages, on different surfaces, against elite competition. Djokovic, for the first time in a long while, has gone through multiple slam cycles without lifting a trophy. For any other player, that wouldn't be shocking, but for Djokovic, it signals a real shift. He himself admitted that at this point, Alcaraz and Sinner are better than him.
They're just too good, playing on a really high level. I can do only as much as I can do, and yeah, it will be very difficult for me in the future to overcome the hurdle of Sinner Alcaraz in the best of 5 on the Grand Slam.
What's even more telling is consistency. These two aren't just peaking once or twice. They're reaching finals, winning Masters events, and dominating long tournaments week after week. They're handling pressure, 5-set matches, and physical battles better than anyone else on tour right now. And when it comes to rivalries, the center of men's tennis is no longer built around Djokovic. The main rivalry today is Alcaraz versus Sinner. Their matches decide who wins slams, who finishes number 1, and who defines the season. Djokovic is still dangerous, but he's no longer the unavoidable final boss he once was. Age and physical demands also matter. Djokovic is in his late 30s, and even with his discipline and experience, recovery becomes harder. The modern game is faster, more explosive, and more physical than ever.
At the moment, clearly there is Carlos, Yannick above everybody. Just look at the results. Then you have Novak alone there. He doesn't have the level in this past year to beat them. At the same time, you see that Carlos and Yannick keep progressing all the time.
Alcaraz brings unmatched athleticism, creativity, and fearlessness. Sinner brings relentless baseline pressure, precision, and stamina that breaks opponents down over time. The key difference right now is not talent, it's sustainability. Alcaraz and Sinner can maintain their level tournament after tournament. Djokovic can still reach incredible heights, but he can't sustain them as consistently as before.
People come up to me like, can Yannick and Carlos get to 20? And I'm like, that's just an absurd conversation to be having now. Like, they're good. They're ball for ball. They're like the big 3, the way they play. But to do it for 20 years, I should say the big 3 and Serena, right? That's the conversation, is the big 3 and Serena. But to do it for 20 years is like the question. That's so hard. Novak was basically like, these guys, it's very clear that this is going to be really hard for me to beat these guys in a longer format. He's like, they're better. Right. And that can't be easy for someone to say who's as good as he is.
This isn't the end of Novak Djokovic. He's earned the right to never be counted out. But at this exact moment in tennis history, based on rankings, Grand Slam results, consistency, and physical form, Carlos Alcaraz and Jannik Sinner are simply better. This is the beginning of a new era, and Djokovic is now trying to stop it instead of defining it.
I feel like Sinner and Alcaraz are going to wipe out a lot of generation. It's like what the big 3 did.
You get Roger, Rafa, and Novak, and you're like, I'm looking at the 3 greatest players that ever lived. And suddenly, somehow, along comes this other guy from Spain. Remember seeing him, he was probably 17. Hey, this guy's got some talent. That guy's pretty quick out there. I never in my wildest dreams, I'll tell you, of all the players I've ever watched, at this age, I've never seen a player this good, this complete.